Welcome to School Zone, the show all about your local school districts here in the White Mountains. I'm your host, John Larsen. Today we have Jami Ramsey with us. She is the director of our federal programs for the Shola Unified School District. Welcome to the show, Jami. Glad you're here.
Thanks, John.
Absolutely. We, you know, in visiting with you a little bit, I've come to understand you have a full plate.
I do.
And so today I want to talk to you about all of the things that you do for the district. I know your title is the Director of Federal Programs, but within that you have at least 3 other major things that you do for this district, and I want to visit all of those.
Okay.
But before we do that, I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, especially I want to hear about your education.
Okay, sure. Well, I grew up in the White Mountains. I grew up in Pinedale, and I went to elementary there in Pinedale in the 2-room schoolhouse, and then I went on to Linden Elementary. After that, I graduated from, actually I went up to Blue Ridge, and I graduated from Blue Ridge. And then I went to NAU, and I received my Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education and with a minor in music. And then I started teaching, and I began teaching at Clay Springs. It was a 5-6 classroom, and I did that for 3 years. And while I was doing that, I received my master's degree, also from NAU, and that is in educational leadership.
Did you get that online?
No.
At the time, that would have been a little bit early for online, kind of? Okay.
Yeah, all of the teachers were here in person. So,
okay.
Yeah. There were a couple of satellite classes, but it was mainly in person.
Okay,
yep.
Great. Did you get it through NPC? Is that how that worked?
It was through NAU.
Through NAU,
yeah.
Okay, great.
Yep. I taught a year of music in town at the intermediate school, and while I was doing that, I did my principalship under Kevin Hall.
Okay.
And then after that, I went to Linden Elementary, and I taught there for 12 years. And then I was the principal there for 3 years, and I also taught half the time as well. And last year was my first year as Director of Federal Programs. So,
very cool.
Yep.
So you've really had a lot of experience in the classroom, not only in the classroom, but with some different subjects even, which is really cool. I'm sure that probably helped you in progressing towards your principalship and even beyond.
Yeah.
So as the Director of Federal Programs, what do you do?
Well, in a nutshell, I'm over the grants.
Okay.
So the federal grants.
Okay, so most people aren't going to know what federal grants are. Give us an example of a federal grant that you've sought.
Okay. Well,
and one that you've attained even, that
sure.
would be cool.
Most of the grants we just get. We get the grants, and then we have to do certain things in order to keep the grants up.
Okay. So there's an application process.
There is an application
to receive those grants, and then to continue to receive them, you have to achieve certain guidelines.
Right, and you have to be in compliance and do a bunch of paperwork and stuff like that.
What's an example of one?
So we have the Title I grant.
Okay.
And Title I is determined by the number of students who receive free or reduced lunches.
Oh, okay.
And then you get a certain amount of money if your school qualifies for Title I, which is 40% or more of your students have to have free or reduced lunches.
Okay, so there's a demographic of students that have to qualify for that, right. Typically underprivileged or whatever it may be.
Right.
So then what is Title II?
Title II is professional development. So we use the funds in Title II to either pay for teachers or staff to go elsewhere, receive information, come back from conferences or workshops, and then share the information with the rest of the staff. We also use Title II money to have other individuals come to the district and do workshops, and yeah.
Okay. What about Title III?
Title III is for English language learners.
Okay.
And this year our pocket of money is a little bit smaller because we have fewer ELL students.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's an example of an English language learner?
Someone who only speaks Spanish, or they grew up in a family who only speaks Spanish, or that is their primary language.
Okay, or not just Spanish, but really,
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure in
we
our
have
area,
other languages.
yeah, I'm sure in our area Spanish is the predominant one, but it would apply to anyone.
Yep.
Does that at all include someone who English is their first language, but they're struggling with that language for any reason?
Yes, if it was their first language and they have some difficulty with English, then yes, they would.
Okay.
They would be tested and see if they qualify for services.
So that was Title III. What's
Yes.
Title IV?
Title IV is the fun grant. It can be used for STEM, the arts, music.
Okay.
It's the fun stuff.
Very cool. So, you mentioned to me McKinney-Vento. What is McKinney-Vento? Because I'm not familiar with that until you brought it up to me.
Okay. McKinney-Vento is homelessness.
Oh.
Okay. So McKinney-Vento Act came about, and it is giving services and supplies to students who find themselves not just out on the street, but they are in hotels or living in a car, living in substandard housing, or if their family is having to be doubled up with another family because of economic hardships.
So where does that lie? I mean, how do you work on that? Where does that come into your responsibilities?
It is a part of the Title I grant.
So it's a part of Title I, and so how do you become aware of the need for that?
Every year at the beginning of the year, the secretary send out a form. Every student receives a form, and parents fill it out. If they check any of the qualifiers, then we send them a letter and we get them on the list, and we say, hey, we have some supplies if you need them. We can help them with clothing, hygiene, kits, whatever they need in order for their student to have the same experience as any other student.
Does that include helping them with like school supplies,
Yes.
backpacks and folders, pens, paper, that kind of stuff? Really, that's great. What would you say the percentage of children we're helping that way, and is it across the board of the demographics of the district, or is it mostly elementary kids, junior high kids?
It's pretty much across the board.
Really?
And I wouldn't be able to give you a percentage, but there's probably between 50 and 100 that find themselves in this kind of situation throughout the year.
So 50 to 100 kids, we have 2,400 kids roughly in our district total, so you can do the math, right?
Right.
So this is a decently significant group of kids that we're able to help through this Title I money that we receive through the federal government, right?
Right.
Great, super. So tell me about ELL. What do you do as a coordinator of ELL? What do you do?
We schedule the Azella test, which is a statewide test to test proficiency in English, and we have a certain number of students at the junior high and at Nicholas Elementary who are ELL, and so for those two schools, I petitioned the state to give us a teacher for those schools to teach English to these ELL students, and since we have a certain number of students, then they said yes. So we have a teacher at the junior high in Nicholas, and then we have at the other elementary schools, Linden and Whipple, and then at the high school, we use what is called the ILLP form, and this just gives teachers the information they need to be able to help their students in the mainstream classroom with language. And I keep track of all of that and make sure that everybody is in compliance.
Okay, so the teacher you said at Nicholas and the junior high, is that one person that's covering both of those, or is there a separate teacher at each facility, at each site?
So we have a full-time teacher at Nicholas Homestead.
Okay.
And then at the junior high, we have a part-time teacher, and then the other part of her job is teaching another other subjects. It's
Okay.
not necessarily for the ELL students.
So explain to me what an ELL child's day is like. I mean, are they in that class with that teacher the whole time, learning the regular curriculum
Right.
as they learn to be more proficient in English?
Right, yes, and especially at the junior high in Nicholas, because they are incorporating all of the English standards within all the other curriculums, right? And then at Linden, Whipple, and the high school, they go to the regular classroom teacher, who then just adds in English language into their regular day.
Oh, okay. So they facilitate their continued learning within the normal curriculum and without a specific teacher for them. Does the teacher at Nicholas and the junior high, do they speak Spanish?
The one at Nicholas happens to speak Spanish.
But not necessarily
But they do
requirement.
not, and she is actually not supposed to speak Spanish to the students because it is English immersion.
Sure.
Yep.
But it certainly would be a help. In
And it's really a help for
situations, right?
parents.
Yeah, right? Parents come in, talk to their teacher about how their child's doing, and she's able to communicate in both languages. That's great, super. So you also take care of coordinating the testing throughout the district.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
That's a lot of fun, actually. I enjoy the testing part and putting in the data that we receive from testing. So,
Are we talking like my kids' math test every week that they take?
not necessarily.
Okay.
So they have their CFAs, their common formative assessments, which they take every week, and the teachers are responsible for finding that and utilizing the Beyond Textbooks website and taking care of those tests. But these tests would be like the benchmark tests that they have every quarter. They have the AZ Merit test at the end of the year, and we do have the AIM Science test as well. So that is for the 4th and 8th graders. AZ Merit is 3rd grade through 11th grade. However, this year the AZ Merit test is now the AZ M2, and it is only required for 3rd through 8th grade and 10th graders.
Okay.
Okay, but the science test is going to be the same, 4th and 8th.
Okay. So I think I was going to ask you about AZ Merit. You might have just told me what's new this year. Is that the breadth of what's new in AZ Merit this year?
Yes.
Is it? Okay.
It is.
So they've gone to AZM2, which is Arizona Merit 2, I assume, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the significance to the children with that change?
There really isn't any.
Not really.
No.
So what was
pretty
their
much the same.
What was their change? What did they?
A name change. There are a few standards that have been changed and updated. A few
okay.
standards have been moved, from one grade to the next, or vice versa.
Okay, cool. So I know you also wear the professional development coordinator hat. When we talk about professional development, what exactly are we talking about?
Well, like I said, with the Title II, we sometimes have individuals come to the district and they do professional development in classroom management or just essential standards of instructions, anything like that. And so I coordinate that. I make sure that we have the funding for it, and I set up times when teachers can come in. Another part of Title II is we pay for the substitutes to come and teach the classes while the teachers are in professional development.
Okay, so basically this is a training for the teachers to be able to better do their job. How receptive are they to that? Are they excited? Is that something they get excited about? Is it?
Yeah, they like stepping out of the classroom and getting new ideas, and sometimes it's just rejuvenating.
Good, good. Are there, like I know we might think of technology, there's always something new coming, right? What about teaching and teacher development? Is there always some new technique, or, I mean, in general, technology as it grows has to create more opportunities for them. What are we seeing in teacher development? What are the new ideas coming, the new thoughts of better ways these children are able to learn?
I don't know if there's really anything that's sticking out to me at the moment, but I mean, we have technology, professional development. We are showing the teachers, how to access Google. We have a Google 101 and a Google 102 class. Google Classroom.
And that all goes in with our commitment to increase technology in the district, right? And so they're learning how to run that technology integrated in their classroom in order to help the kids, right?
Yes. Yep.
Very cool.
Another part of the professional development is the new teacher induction. We bring in the new teachers 4 days before everybody else, and they have professional development courses that they take, and we kind of give them the cultural background of Show Low and what makes us unique, and teach them how to become Show Low.
Good, good. Yeah. I know we had a few days before the school year actually began. There was a get together that I was able to go to with all of the staff, but their new teachers were there, and it seemed very excitement inducing. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but it seemed like everybody was excited to start the year, excited about the new changes that have come in the district as far as upgrades and facilities and other improvements that were made at the end of last year and then all during the summer, and they're kind of buttoning up right now, but I thought that was really a great get together. I'm assuming you had a hand in that.
A little hand.
A little hand. So is there anything specific that you have planned that teachers will attend this year for professional development?
Yeah, we have several things lined up. We have some presenters coming from Vail that is part of Beyond Textbooks, and they have...
Vail as in down by Tucson?
Right.
Vail, okay, Vail School District.
They're going to come up, and they are going to be doing a follow-up with the new teachers on BT, Beyond Textbooks.
So they're going to come up and basically, I'm assuming these folks in Vail have certifications or whatever in Beyond Textbooks that deems them able to train and to teach, and so our staff will be able to take advantage of that, which is really exciting, because that is the basis for our curriculum and how we're teaching our kids. I mean, you talked a little bit earlier about when our teachers do take time off for training, we have substitutes come in. Are our substitutes invited to participate in this professional development?
A little bit. So we just barely started an orientation for our substitutes, and in that orientation we went through classroom instruction and good classroom strategies to use in the classroom, some little tips to help the substitutes, and that went really well. And other than that, we really haven't invited the substitutes, but we definitely want to invite and encourage anybody who is interested in becoming a substitute to go over and talk to Vanessa Beecroft over in the district office. There is, a few steps that they have to take in order to become a substitute, but we are going to be doing another orientation in October for those who come in the next couple of months, and one in January and another in March. So we want to encourage, people to come and be substitutes. We have a great staff and we have great substitutes right now, and we want to just build that.
Great. So Jami, I mean, we've talked about your overall, kind of your umbrella title of Director of Federal Programs. Underneath that, the ELL Coordinator, where you're helping our English what was it?
English
language learners. So our kids who English is not their first language or struggle with English, and then the testing portion of it, you make sure that all of our testing that goes on, not the basic testing within the classrooms, but the state testing and whatnot is coordinated. And then you're also coordinating the professional development of our staff, our teachers. What else do you do?
What else to do? I don't know. All of those sound like I'm a big party planner. But what else do I do?
Have I missed anything?
I'm trying to think. You know, that's pretty much the gist of my job.
So how do you handle all that? How do you make a day? I mean, what's the day in the life of Jami when you have all of these things going on? I mean, are you? I know I'm kind of a organized person where I need to schedule. Do you have a certain number of hours set aside where you deal with this, or you deal with this, and then you deal with this, or you take things as they come? Because I don't imagine that anybody keeps their needs on your schedule, right?
You know, Becky Clark was the curriculum director and federal programs director before I was, and I kind of joked, you know, that she had these sticky notes all over the place, and well, I'm finding that sticky notes really help. But the days that I do have a schedule lined out, I'm going to spend an hour working on grants. I'm going to spend an hour working on professional development. It all goes up in the air. Something's going to happen. So, you know, I just really...
A phone call's coming in, somebody's knocking on your door.
Yeah. A lot of salespeople like to contact me.
Oh, nice.
So I kind of, you know, either give them the boot or welcome them in. So.
Okay. Well, Jami, thanks. I appreciate you taking the time and coming and seeing me today. I find it fascinating, all that you have to do. Obviously, there's no way that we can get all of these things done without you. I'm really grateful for what you do, and I appreciate you coming to see me today.
Thanks, John.
If you ever want to come back and visit, if you ever have some really big changes that happen you want to share with us. Also, I just had in my mind, you coordinated Dr. Borba, sorry.
Yep. I did.
I just had this come in my mind. You coordinated to have Dr. Borba come in and see us. Maybe
it was the beginning of the school year.
It was a little time has gone by a little bit quicker than I thought, but you coordinated that, which was a great event that I think really I've noticed as I've gone around to some of the school sites. I'm seeing signs up about be kind, be empathetic. I noticed at Linden Elementary there's a little box that people are putting things in when someone does something kind and generous, and so I just really appreciate all you do, and when you have something come up, you be sure and come see us.
Okay,
all right?
I will. Thanks.
Appreciate you being here. Thanks for joining us here on School Zone, and we'll see you again soon.